Good evening and welcome to a very special edition of the Alex Thomas Show. You might be wondering why I'm wearing this shirt and why we're here on a Thursday night. And I'll tell you because half of the largest neighborhood in Ypsilanti Township goes to Van Buren Public School District. And Belleville High School's football team is undefeated, and they're going to beat up on West Bloomfield Hills at Belleville High School over on West Columbia this Friday at 7 o'clock. So much as I love my show, I love my community too, which is part of it, and I got to go support the Belleville Tigers. So that's why we're going to do this special show tonight, and that's why we have Bridgie McNally. Say hi, Bridgie. I'm lucky to have Bridgie McNally and her supermom, Shauna McNally, who was a candidate for the state house in this past August primary.
Yes.
And we have her son, Max McNally, too. And even though I love Belleville so much, I couldn't skip a show after such an important election. And I can just see from my conversations and just what we see in the media, how significant it was, and I want to talk about that with other people that care about local politics, because we're not seeing a lot of that in the media. And to get a great guest like the McNallys, that's what we're going to talk about. Local politics, the recent election, anything else Max and Shauna want to talk about. But I'm going to let them introduce themselves and themselves. Go for it, Shauna. What would you like to tell everybody?
Well, you said I have to go first. So I ran for 55th House of Representatives, which is just sort of this a pretty gerrymandered district between a little part of Ann Arbor. Is that the mic?
No, you can just write into that. But yeah, that is the mic.
Okay. Part of Ann Arbor, the Pittsfield Township, so the strip right down 23 into York Township with Augusta and Augusta Township, and also the village of Milan. And it was a area that I had grown up in. I graduated from Milan High School. My kids went to Lincoln. We lived in Pittsfield at the time, and we used to live in Ann Arbor when I was in school. So it was like I really knew the district, and I wanted to run for it. I didn't make it through. I was running against a well-established candidate, but I really wanted to bring local issues to the table, and I think that we did that in a pretty good way. And obviously, we kind of all worked our butts off for that primary, and my family included kind of went into hibernation, and we're really watching these general election results closely, and there were obviously some wins and some
losses.
Yeah.
and if I could jump in, and I'm going to get Max in, and you're going to have the floor, but I wanted to let him know the way you ran your campaign and such, I mean, the grassroots effort and stuff, I look at it as kind of a standard as for a campaign that might have huge odds and such, but if I would want to be involved and care to get the message out, I'd like to see that work from the candidate. I talked to a lot of people. I know you were working. I know you were out there, and not every candidate does, you know.
I appreciate that.
So yeah. But really excited to have Max McNally because from the show standpoint and just from my work in the community, I think the youth have so much to offer, and I think it's our responsibility as adults to give them the platform, help, nurture, and listen. So Max, man, what do you want to talk about?
One thing I gotta say, just so people know this, I am his mom. Yeah, I have to brag, but I want to be clear that he got me into politics. He was so involved in politics that he inspired me to want to be involved and to want to run for office. So there you go. There's your introduction. Go ahead.
So my name's Max. I'm a recent graduate of Lincoln High School, so I graduated in the class of 2018. I helped do a group with the Student Advocacy Center in Michigan called Youth Action Michigan, where we worked on combating the school-to-prison pipeline in local schools and working to implement restorative practices and more efficient models aside of just throwing kids out of school for minor offenses. Our group got passed the Rethink Discipline Bills in 2016, I believe, which mandated that all let me see, I'm trying to jog my memory here because I haven't talked about this in a while. But that essentially allowed for schools had to go through 7 criteria evaluating each disciplinary action if it was an intense action, so an expulsion, and learn how to mediate those conversations and bring the sentencing down or something that's more like reasonable. So yeah, that was some things we did.
Is it? And I hate to put you on the spot. The name of that bill? Do you know where it's
the Rethink Discipline Bills?
Rethink Discipline Bills. They could Google that.
Yeah, you can
find
Google
that.
the Rethink Discipline Bills. It was implemented into the state of Michigan, and they took effect my last year of high school. So yeah, they were a pretty big step in reevaluating how we look at discipline in the state of Michigan. But that's one issue. I worked with my mom on her campaign a lot. I quit my job for like a month to
More
go
than that.
and just work and canvas and do as much as we could. I canvassed in the middle of the night.
So if you guys got any weird flyers, that was him, not me.
We did a whole bunch of like wild campaign tactics and not necessarily wild. It was just super grassroots.
Yeah, it was because we didn't have the money at all, like not a bit. But we had the volunteer base, so we tried to, instead of sending mailers, we knocked on people's doors and tried to make that connection, and I think we did a good job.
Mm-hmm. Max, I mean, I'm so glad I gave you the chance to introduce yourself that way, because that just recently, about a couple weeks ago, I was speaking to someone that had done some consulting work on a racial discrimination case in a school district, and they were talking about the importance of disaggregating the data and showing what the specific discipline charges were.
Yeah.
So that bill is really, really important, and I invite the audience to really Bing it or Google it. I don't always promote Google and such, but that didn't come up in the conversation that I had before. But so I mean, thanks for really informing me about that. But I wanted to ask. So in your campaign, and I did answer because Max, you said she said that you got involved. She got involved because of you. So go ahead with what you were going to say, and then answer that one.
I don't know.
I thought I was going to cut you off.
I was just thinking.
Well, take your time and yeah. How'd you get your mom involved in politics?
Well, I think it was the 2016 election, in the primary specifically. We weren't the people that got involved with Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. We got involved with Bernie Sanders versus Hillary Clinton. So I think that's kind of where like our foundation came from for the rest of like the electoral operations.
You got involved with
the Bernie Sanders campaign.
Mm-hmm.
She was the head of Latino outreach in the Metro Detroit area, and so. Yeah,
they didn't have anybody. It was a shock. So I went down to volunteer, and there was just this huge gaping hole. And they said that I could fill it, and I happily did so. And I spent in Detroit every day trying to build that outreach. And
you're a fluent Spanish speaker, and you studied in Mexico, and spent time in another
lived there,
right? Or
it was
all Mexico?
We lived in. I mean, I traveled to other places, but we lived in Mexico. He grew up in Mexico, so and it was one of those blind spots that I think were real common in the campaign in general. Was a big complaint that there wasn't outreach for different communities, and it was just sort of like hitting rural areas. And yeah, we saw that. But we also wanted to help make it better because I felt he was offering the best outreach, and because I've always I did.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
And then that was
more
because
people
all
should
of
have paid
us.
attention.
Yeah, that was because we went.
And
out
obviously, you guys I was a Hillary supporter at the time. I was one of the people that thought that and I identified as a democratic socialist. I'd say early 90s and such. I did. I felt that way as far as you wanted to tell me how to best describe. I really, everybody say we don't like labels. Okay, I'm cool with that. Yeah. Democratic socialist. But I didn't think that the electorate would listen and would respond. I didn't recognize how viable his campaign was, and that's what I criticize now. I was going Hillary. So you guys spoke.
Well, for me, it was like this huge realization. It's like, oh wait, we can say that now. We get to say socialist now, and people aren't going to freak out. And he made that possible. But he got so involved and started all this youth activism that he encouraged me when Bernie didn't win the primary, and it was like, oh man, what do we do now? Where do we direct this energy? And he encouraged me to run for office, and so I did, and it was a good experience, and I enjoyed it, and we wanted to push it further. For Ypsilanti Township Park Commission, and just wanted to build that grassroots movement a little bit further. And I do feel kind of like this election was odd in 2018 because there was so much energy. and there were all these people running, and kind of got our legs cut out from under us, kind of across the board. We got a few people through, and I'm speaking specifically within Michigan, that it became more of a, most of the, and there are valid reasons for people to vote either way, and that's fine, of course. But it was like a lot of the people that, the Abdul supporters and all that energy kind of just was like, oops, it just wasn't there anymore, and where do we go? And I feel like a lot of people are kind of searching, like, do we jump on board with this aspect? Okay, Democrats won now. It's kind of that thing, hold their feet to the fire, like make sure that these campaign promises actually happen.
That's what I'm scared about.
Well,
Yeah.
I want you to. I'm inspired by. I was really enthusiastic for Syed. He lost Washington County by 154 votes, but if you break it down, and I have a doc, I'll share it with you, and I'm going to share it every show because I'm inspired by it. He won Ypsilanti, the city of Ypsilanti, the 23,000 or such. He won 59% to 31, and then Sherry getting the rest, the difference. But he won 59% in Ypsilanti. In the township, the 55,000 population township, he won 41-40. There was a heavy absentee, much heavier in the like 3 precincts on election day that Whitmer won. He won the rest. She won 3 precincts in Ypsi Township, but all overall he won 41-40, and there was heavy Whitmer absentee votes. Yeah. It's a progressive base.
Well,
in this area. It's a progressive
Yeah.
base. I think that needs to coalesce and work and punch. But what are you thinking?
I'm worried that the Michigan Democratic Party will, after this election win, will just further entrench themselves on the same DNC establishment loop or hole, dig themselves further deeper within their own minds as far as this is the right strategy. We need to not necessarily be the most progressive, just moderate Democrats doing their moderate Democrat things. There's not that many progressives within the state legislature, not that many people that are going to be pushing issues. I think it's really important that the Democrat Attorney General Dana Nessel got through because she was the most true grassroots campaign that was available on the state ballot. But I'm really worried that we're only going to see incremental change, whereas when the GOP gets into office,
they just tear it all
destroy
down.
everything. They destroy everything. And when Democrats get in office, they kind of push back.
I can't wait to hear you guys' answer to this question because I share the exact same concern. And I had this discussion with some, who I would say local activists last night. And I really think I don't want to give up on the local party. I want to change it.
Yeah.
I really think it seems like that the party, it's extremely top down. Everything comes from Lansing, and that's what's done. There's a progressive base here, Washington County, frequent all Democrats in Ann Arbor, it's this and such. What does that really mean? I think there's a lot of undercover Republicans that are in there. Yeah. But I think that starts with at the precinct delegate level. And that's what do you guys think? Or is third party the answer? What?
Okay, so I know 2 precinct delegates pretty well that they are friends and worked on my campaign. And if I gotta be honest, I don't entirely know exactly what the role is, but I know they're very active and they try to organize community events and they try to get people out. And they're kind of rebels, right? So they're like, I'm not doing what they tell me, but at the same time, they're doing that, but they're also involved with third parties. So they're taking the inside-outside strategy of if the Democratic Party isn't going to work for us, I mean, what do? We all just give up? No, we can't just give up completely. So where do we go? And where that will lead us, I think, kind of remains to be seen. I've been looking at 2020, and I know, yes, the midterms passed, and now we have to talk about 2020. But if critical mass hits again, and we get the same movements that we had again, and it can't be ignored, maybe we've kind of pushed a little bit, but we might finally get that shift over the edge where
Bernie 2020.
Well, I don't know, but if they're not, I mean, like you said, if Democrats think they can get away with not fighting for things and just taking the total establishment route, that they will. And so how do we make that not happen? And there has to be some sort of threat. There literally has to be a way to say, no, you won't win without us.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what do we have?
I think, and Bridgie did a great, and that was fast. That was blank.
That was show everybody.
Yeah. She did that in 13 minutes.
Good job.
But I wonder, and Max like to, because I don't know exactly what precinct delegates' responsibilities are, but it seems like on appearance that that is the grassroots level where the people in the community can inform the party and help if anything's going to come in. So I think I'm really big on getting strong, clear. It sounds like precinct captains like
Yeah.
like that
Yeah,
are doing it.
right.
Because I do know some others that I don't think that they could say clearly what they do. I haven't seen, and I'm not speaking about mine in my area or any specific, but talking to people that I know that are informed and that take part in party politics, they say that it's really lancing so what you think that on the precinct delegate level, or what are your thoughts, Max?
The precincts, the different precincts that are within, like the voting precincts, they have an elected person
There might be a
called
little
the
echo,
precinct
so that's
delegate,
okay.
and they're supposed to basically be like the local organizer. But like you said, I'm not entirely sure how many people actually do that, or how many people just have it as like kind of a figurehead, like around the precinct delegate.
And now I'm thinking, somebody's watching now and they think I might mention their name, and I would never do that.
No,
but I know
but
I know some other people that are involved in the process. And they think that that people need to be informed. The precinct delegates themselves. If you were a really enthusiastic precinct delegate, you might not be clear exactly what your responsibilities are or how to do it.
That was
And
the message I got from the people that I know that are doing it.
Right.
Like, I'm not entirely sure what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm going to do this.
So kind of the discussion we were having before about how the informed, like the youth and in the activist community, getting some of them to run or get involved at that level and letting them know.
Okay.
You can get in right there.
So I didn't even know about this coming into this interview. So I would say that my immediate responsibility.
You talking about the bill?
Would be the grassroots is really activism and local initiatives specifically. So there's like a lot of activists, and one of my good friends, Juan Harrison, is a local activist. He ran for the Ypsilanti Community School Board. He lost by 2%, which is unfortunate. But it's people like that, and it's people who drive issues over their like personal salvation, I guess. So politicians have a lot of goals as career-wise, especially these establishment politicians who see it as a job and as a means, like for their level in society. But I think it's important when activism comes into place. You're not necessarily marching for yourself out there. You're marching for every single individual who's in that group with you. You're marching for the issues that you guys are trying to elevate. And so when those activists get into a position of power and community leaders who genuinely care about handling the issues, that's when I would believe you would see change.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't take corporate Blue Cross Blue Shield money and money up and down.
Mm-hmm. Be careful, Bridgie. Oh, that's very close up now. I look. I think everything starts at grassroots, and one thing that I like. I'm 49 years old, and I think what's better about from when I was your age is in the activist community recognizing that the more horizontal is better, and the ineffectiveness of hierarchy. I was really impressed with going to some of the READY meetings here. That was Rising for Economic Democracy and MC that helped pass the CBO. And it was just super inclusive. It was just very collective. It was really grassroots. It was a concerted effort to make sure you get everybody's point of view in and respect their time and in a comfortable atmosphere. And that wasn't the way things were ran, 30 years ago and such. So I'm all for that. But recognizing that, I think that's always got to be there. And I think part of the responsibility of that community, too, is affecting the politics and the party structure. That's my idea of what I would put in.
It becomes hard. It becomes frustrating because, I'm sure you know this. I'm sure anybody who's ever tried to do this knows this. Because getting attention, for instance, the Nexus pipeline. community-wise, we've been talking about it for a long time. You know what I mean? People
and
are
I care, and I haven't been there.
Fighting.
Well,
because they stretch it out and they drag it out and they put the hearings at weird hours and you don't even know they happened and they say, oh yeah, we're taking public comment, but they're not taking public comment. They're just, la 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 la.
Every single day on the bus ride home, I saw since 6th grade.
Yeah.
There was a stop next to the pipeline sign on the woman's
Right.
house.
And if we could educate our audience, because or if you want to, or it's really the Nexus pipeline.
So the Nexus pipeline is a pipeline by the same company that's actually.
Oh no! I mean that's just screen so we're fine though.
Okay. So it's a natural gas pipeline that's coming from Appalachian, like West Virginia, Pennsylvania, up through Ohio. And going through Michigan, through Sarnia to be processed in Canada. Some of it's being diverted and it's going to be used here for a natural gas power plant.
Between West Willow and the ACM.
While DTE is saying at the same time that they don't need to build solar panels because they don't really have any increased demand, but yet they want to build this like $1 billion natural gas power plant, electricity plant. So it's not needed. We have we have the ability to move to renewable resources, but it's being built. These pipelines are exploding because they're not being built to good standards, and the pipeline goes less than 1,000 feet from my daughter's elementary school. She's in the incineration zone if it ever happened. The whole community of West Willow is in the incineration zone.
Yeah.
They have put it through these population areas, and we cannot get attention, we cannot get eyes, we cannot get anything. And I have been told by people that are reporters somebody told me this, and I will not name the news bureau, but they told me, we don't really focus on anything unless it's a big newsworthy event. So if if there was an explosion, we might come look at it.
Yeah.
By then it's too late.
And it's not hyperbole incineration zone.
Yeah.
That's how.
Yeah.
That's
and it makes me wonder, you'd think that people would jump on that and go we can't have this, but they're more interested in not making enemies. Mm-hmm. And we've gotten to the point where now we can say shut down Line 5, and I can't even imagine how long that took. But that became the fashionable thing to say for a lot of people that are trying to be elected. Shut down Line 5, shut down Line 5. And my goal with running was, hey, if you're going to shut down Line 5, why don't you shut down Nexus too? How come you can shut down Line 5, but you can let all of our families and our kids be in the incineration zone? And you know what? No one would answer me.
And I had a conversation with a voter in Ann Arbor, in the northern part of Ann Arbor where your district was at. I knocked on this guy's door, and he had to shut down Line 5, and he was an engineer. That was his profession. Leading up before his retirement, and he was talking about all his concerns that he had with Line 5, and I said that one of your main platforms would be environmental justice and getting rid of the Nexus pipeline in Ypsilanti, and he had absolutely no clue about it. He had absolutely no clue what the Nexus pipeline was, because it's not being talked about by county politicians. It's not being talked about by anybody. He did end up voting for you. He told me that. Okay. But because that was an issue that was incredibly concerning to him, that the pipelines and all this type of stuff, given his profession, and he was dumbfounded that he had never heard about the Nexus pipeline before. It
makes me wonder, with the experience we've had and the complete inability to get anybody to talk about it, where else is this happening in the state? How many other communities are going? In the country. How many other communities are going through this, and we don't hear about it?
When you were on the show before, we talked about it, and I put some links that you had suggested to some groups that were doing something and such, and I'll I'll do that again, because again, my home, my friends, loved ones, my mom, it's in the incineration zone if something happened. We have about 7 more minutes. Okay. And I want to...
Can we talk about Stacey Abrams? Is that okay?
Well, absolutely. I'm going to be as quiet as much as I can for the last 7 minutes, and you guys can talk about whatever you want, but I hope it's about what local activists can do too also. But you guys just go for it.
Run for office. Local activists can run for office. I was considering running for Lincoln School Board. I ended up not doing it just because of taking on a college and a bunch of other things. I'm not exactly sure where I'll be going in the next couple of years of my life, but if you care about an issue, there's only one way you can actually guarantee that you'll fix it. You can yell at politicians, you can yell at your representative all that you want, but if they have other interests in mind, or they're taking money from groups who have very different interests than you, then you're most likely not going to have your voice heard, even though we live in a democracy and even though we elect these people. So run for office.
Absolutely. And if somebody, your group that you're a part of right now, how can somebody get it? Do you have a Facebook page, Instagram, Snapchat?
You want to check your shirt too. You work on that campaign. People might not know about it.
Oh, this was an initiative so the age in which people can go to jail in Michigan is 17 years old.
Yeah.
So lower than like pretty much every other state in the country. So this campaign was designed to raise the age that children, like they shouldn't be going to adult prisons at 17 years old.
They shouldn't go to jail for a traffic ticket warrant either.
Yeah.
Like I did when I was 16 years old.
Oh my God.
Or something like that for just a day. I mean, that's ridiculous to be in that situation as a child. I mean, that was me to me at that time. One time, yeah. But so yeah.
Student Advocacy Center in Michigan, they help out with disciplinary cases and kids who are going through it. All throughout the county, actually around the state, but that's the youth group that we have there. There's plenty of other groups. I was a co-founder of the Washtenaw Youth Initiative, who we recently just had the Parkland, the kids, David Hogg and all of them come through and talk about the neutral zone.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's that group. There's plenty of local groups to get around, but I'd say it's more important than just joining a group. Groups are good to facilitate conversations and to get people talking about what you can do, but getting elected officials in front of those groups and getting people from those groups into elected positions, getting them to start news channels like this, media outlets, doing what they can to spread their ideas rather than just keeping them concentrated within a group. So activism, all these types of things, but I say most importantly is to run for office.
All right, cool. And I clap because I strongly agree. That's what this last election convinced me of. I'm looking, and I was embarrassed because, and I'm not going to talk that much. I was embarrassed because I had been thinking about November 2020, and to me, I didn't really. I'm so focused locally. It's August. It's August locally. For my efforts here, it's August locally, and having good people in those positions then. That's what I'm looking for. Every election's important. That's what my focus is.
That's true, and like I got so frustrated with running a campaign and operating through all of this, and everybody, it was like, vote November. It was like, if you wait till November to vote, like, you've already lost, you know? If you're not knocking on doors, if you're not donating, if you're not watching what's happening, and you're waiting till November, you're never going to get the change that you need.
Most of our audience knows that. Excuse me.
Yeah,
but most of our audience.
Yeah.
But I want to for those that don't understand what we mean by August is because that's when the Democratic primary, and the Democratic primary that's going to determine who gets elected in November because there's not a robust or strong enough Republican presence in the county.
Right.
It's all Democratic, pretty much, except for a few little spots maybe on the western part. But it's not August.
I do want to say, because I mentioned Stacey Abrams, and I'm serious about that. That's incredible because I think a lot of people have witnessed. It became just glaringly clear in 2016 that things were not being done properly in a lot of election, in a lot of the primary, and there's still lawsuits going on about it. Yeah, like there's so many things, and that she's standing up and is like, no, there is fraud, and she's got the eyes on her, and she's got the ability and the means to actually fight it. And I think Florida, it's incredible. They're put that one became an automatic recount because it got within the margin of error.
Oh, it did in Florida?
It did, but
oh, great! I didn't see it till
that just became a vote count issue, and I'm glad that they're recounting it. But Stacey Abrams stood up and said no. You know what I mean? She didn't wait for it or give it. She didn't. What's it called? Concession.
She didn't concede.
She was like, no.
Yes,
that makes me so happy.
Absolutely.
So I'm proud of that.
Okay.
I hope we keep eyes and that we remember that
it can happen anywhere.
It can happen anywhere, and those kinds of people that they are really those fighters are the ones that we need to be supporting and looking out for and building them up.
Absolutely. So we need to get together and find those good candidates.
Yeah. And
be ready for every election's important, but the Township is 2020.
Well, that's what Max said. Every person is a good candidate. I think it just depends on if you want to be governor or precinct delegate.
Okay.
But everybody has the ability to go out there and participate. Yeah. Whatever your niche and your background is, don't worry, there's somebody out there that needs your help. So.
Bridget, your future candidate?
Possibly.
And I have another son, and he will never come on these shows. He's like, I don't want to be involved. So.
I tell you, I'm gonna save this one just in case. It'll be worth something like 25 years.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys for tuning in. Please support Belleville again, the largest neighborhood in Ypsilanti Township. West Willow, half the neighborhood. It has a rich tradition of Belleville. I'm Belleville 87.
Yes.
West Willow Elementary, North Junior High, Belleville, Van Buren Public Schools. That section, that's part of Ypsi. It's part of our area. Go out and support that undefeated team when we beat up on West Bloomfield at 7 p.m. Yeah, I don't think they did either.
We lost to Ypsi. We lost Ypsi.
But thank you, everybody. Tune in next week. I'm really excited. We're going to have Anna Limler, really distinguished person in our community. You can Google her, look her up, and put a good profile on. But you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in. You guys want to say bye or anything?
See you later. Thank you
Thanks
for
for
having
having
us.
And don't forget about my pictures.
Thanks, Brittany.
Bye.
Bye-bye.